Okay, we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this knowledge sharing session today. I am Jeet Gagwani, and I head the Martech sales at Mirum India. I look after India and global Martech sales. And along with me, I have my colleague Ashish Patil. He is a technical architect for Martech practices at Mirum. So, as you all know, right, Miram is a gold consulting partner of Salesforce, and now it is known as Salesforce Crest Partner. And today we are here to understand about Miram's GoURL platform, which is basically a custom-built platform, a SaaS-based solution, and how it helps several marketers to overcome several challenges related to a longer URLs and how it can be shortened using our Go URL. So, before I get started with this session, right, I just want to give you a quick story over here. I mean, I have been meeting a lot of marketeers in the market across industries, across verticals, various brands. And all these marketers have been telling me that Jeet, SMS is one of the most effective communication even today. And even though it is one of the most prominent way of communicating to the customers, we are facing challenges. So when we send SMSs to the customers with certain links, these SMS becomes longer, they look ugly, and we don't know how to overcome these challenges. We don't know which customers are clicking on those links. And basis that, I was there to help these customers to overcome these challenges and position Go URL to these customers as a solution. So a quick case study which is there over here on the screen for everybody. So this was an automobile customer facing similar challenges which I just spoke about. And using Go URL, these challenges were overcome very, very efficiently. So today we will understand how using Go URL we can manage the links smartly, monitor them effectively, and monetize them efficiently. So Ashish, I'm coming to you because when I met these marketeers, they had a lot of questions for me, and I need your help to answer these questions to all these marketeers. So let us see what we have as a first question for you. Yeah. So the first very basic question, Ashish, why do businesses today need URL shorteners?
Yeah, thank you, Jit. To understand the need of URL shortcuts, first we need to understand the issues or problems that are there with the long URLs. URL by its own definition has multiple parts. There is a HTTPS part, which is a URL scheme. Then comes the domain name, usually www.yourbrand.com. And then there is a path for the particular URL. Now this path is dependent on the system which is used to create this URL. It can be your homegrown system or it can be a third-party solution. Now everything makes this URL long. And since all of you are marketers who want to track how these URLs are being used, you are going to add the UTM parameters to it. So it is going to make the URL even longer. Usually these URLs end up consuming somewhere around 100, 150 characters, sometimes even more than that, depending on the number of parameters and number of parameters used for tracking, number of parameters used for personalization. Ultimately, the URL is end up looking really bad. It's not user friendly, and since it is not looking good, the users are less likely to click on these URLs. When it comes to technical terms, there are limitations on SMS and Twitter where how many characters can be sent in a single message. Now a longer URL presents a challenge so that the message will be broken into more than one messages. It is possible, but it looks ugly. As a whole, the entire message looks ugly because of the long URL. And that's why a short URL is a very major requirement.
Absolutely agree with you, Ashish. I mean, so when I look at it, right? So whenever, if as a user, if I am receiving any particular SMS from a particular brand, right? And if it's a very longer URL, I think twice before clicking onto it, me being a user. And when such URLs, they are sent to me in a very, very neat format with the brand recognition over there, having a brand logo, brand name over there, it makes very easier for me to understand that this SMS, first of all, I've received from a very well-known brand, point number one. Second, I can trust that URL and I can click on that URL. So it definitely makes an impact to have that brand name as a part of a URL. Now, other than that, if I look myself as a marketer, right? When I'm sending an SMS, it if the URL size is longer, the SMS goes into two parts. Now, if I use a URL shortener, this helps and benefits me first of all in reducing the cost of the SMS, because I will reduce the length of the URL and I will make this SMS fit into a single 160 character content SMS, and it will be a much neater SMS for every person that will read my message. So I save one SMS per, if by using just by using a URL shortener, by doing a simple campaign. So absolutely agree with you, Ashish, and thanks for clarifying this point, clarifying your views on this. Let us see as the next question what we have for you. Yeah. So Ashish here, how does Mirum GoURL add value to MarTech stacks like Salesforce Marketing Cloud?
Okay, so most of these marketing stacks, they don't have any built-in URL shortener, if at all. And if anything is available, then it is available for the static URLs, but not for the personalized dynamic URLs. Uh, Along with this, even the consumptions, the click reports, the time, or probably the location where the clicks happened, even the device details, all this information is not readily available if we consider the built-in URL shortness. So this information is critical because it can be used to retarget these users based on their engagement pattern. And that's why something like GoURL is definitely a value add to party platforms.
Yeah, I mean, from the marketing standpoint, when I do a particular campaign, or if any of my customer is doing a particular campaign, it is very important for my customer to know which are their set of customers who are showing interest in these campaigns, right? Who are the customers who are clicking, and I need to track them. This this will not only help me in understanding which are my customers who are interested in the campaign, but it will also help me to plan my next campaign accordingly, right? So these customers who are interested, they have shown interest in this particular campaign, they have clicked on the link, I can modify and I can adjust my future campaigns according to that. So definitely GoURL adds value to Salesforce Marketing Cloud, the marketing stack. Agree with you. Let us see what we have as the next question for you. So Ashish, why you recommend to use Miram's GoURL with Salesforce Marketing Cloud? I mean, this is one of the question which almost every marketer has asked me, that why Miram GoURL?
Yeah. So coming to this, definitely there are multiple products available in market which are basically a URL shortener. But all of these URL shorteners, they are a standalone products. They are not uh, they're not integrated into Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and even if we plan to integrate, it's impossible or make really difficult to do that. When it comes to GoURL, GoURL is developed considering the SFMC as a complementary solution. So all the URLs are personalized in SFMC. They can be easily integrated with GoURL, and using the automation, the bulk shortening or the API integration can be done. So as a whole, it helps understand the engagement of URLs back into SFMC. We also have some features like creating a custom backoff, wherein if you have a particular keyword that you want to use as a shortened URL, you can do that. The URLs are also the URL shortening method is also available for the transactional use case, wherein in Journey Builder you can use SSJS or MScript to call the APIs to shorten URLs, or in case of the promotional use case, wherein you can use the bulk shortening method using the CSV and SFTP. So there are multiple ways available. Uh, even if even if required, someone can do create a shortened URL manually and create a QR code out of it. Now, the URLs which are created with GoURL, the shortened URLs, these are compatible across all kind of devices, all kind of web browsers, and there is no limitation or requirement of front-end features like a JavaScript. These are native HTTP redirections, and they work similarly across all kind of devices. These URLs can be used anywhere. The primary use case is SMS, but you can still use those URLs into WhatsApp or emails, or even these can be placed on a web page. So as a whole, when we consider GoURL against other solutions, it also presents a really good cost saving option.
Yeah. I mean, see, so this is, one of the most highlighted challenge in the market, right? I'll give you some examples over here. Now, I met some marketers in the market who currently have Salesforce Marketing Cloud set up. And because URL shortening as a feature is not available in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and tracking of URL is not possible in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So what is happening over here is these marketers, they are actually working with other platforms, or you can say third-party platforms, and they are using those platforms to send out the URL campaigns. Okay, because obviously if I'm a marketer, right, and if I'm doing any kind of a campaign, it is very important for me to understand who are my customers who are clicking on those URLs. Now, this is a serious concern which feature is not available in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, but with the help of GoURL, this can be easily overcome as a challenge, right? When we have GoURL as a tool for our customers, the best part about it is it can be seamlessly integrated with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Point number one, the marketers will not have to look at different dashboards when they are doing any kinds of campaigns. They can use the single dashboard, they can do the shortening of the URL, and they can perform the URL campaign. Okay. And whichever tracks, whichever analytics that is available in a single dashboard. They will not have to look at different dashboards, refer to reports in other dashboards, pull in the reports from that particular tool into SFMC. Here, everything is automated because of the seamless integration with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Therefore, it really makes a very big useful case for every marketer to use a Go URL with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. I mean, great. I mean, this was one of the very regular query which I was receiving from every marketer in the market, and thanks for clarifying that. A couple of questions more for you, Ashish. Let's see what we have as a question number 4. So, Ashish, yeah, again, now as a marketer, I want to know, right, whenever I'm sending out campaigns to my customers, can I send these campaigns when it goes in a form of SMS with URL in a custom domain format? Can my user see a custom domain when I'm doing any kind of campaigns using a URL shortener? Why don't you share your inputs on this as well?
All right. So when most of the third-party URL shorteners which are available in market, they create a short URL. These URLs end up with their own domain name. Now, these domain names, they basically try to promote their own URL shortening product, and rather than and the marketers lose out on promoting their own brand instead. There is also a case wherein the URL which is required is not created from marketer's own domain name. It can be a survey or it can be a form created outside their own set of tools. And the domain name ends up with some different company's domain name. It can be surveys or forms own domain name. Now it doesn't connect that URL with the brand which is going to send out this URL to customers. In this scenario, it is really important for brand to basically link that URL with a particular domain name which is owned by them. When it comes to GoURL, GoURL by default works with a white label domain name which is owned by the brands. Now it can be any domain name, but since it is a short URL, brands can go with a really tiny domain name, and ultimately it gives a two-way impact. It also shortens the URL, and the URLs which are shortened, they still end up with the brand's own identity, and it helps creating some kind of trust on the URL for the customers, and these URLs also help the brand to promote them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely see when you, I'm just looking at the screen, right? I can see a very big link which is there as a before option, which is displayed over here, and a link which is as an after option. So definitely the link which is as an after option looks much neater. And secondly, when I use Go URL, I can put my brand name in that particular link, right? Now, with that, one thing is that gives a complete recall of that particular brand to whichever customer I'm targeting these SMSs to. Secondly, it drives the customer engagement higher. Now, me as a customer, if I'm receiving any such link, right, from a particular brand, as a customer, I tend to click on the after link is more higher compared to the link which I'm receiving as a, we can see in option number one, which is in before. So it drives higher customer engagement value. So definitely, as a marketer, I will want this as a one of the most useful feature where I can have a custom domain when I'm doing any kind of a campaigns. Well, thanks Ashish for clarifying this for all the marketeers here. And a couple of questions more for you. So again, a very important question. There are several customers who have huge number of databases, and they send out campaigns very regularly to their customers, right? And these customers ask me that, Jeet, is Go URL ready to handle large volumes? How will Go URL handle large volumes of campaigns? Can we track those campaigns? So why don't you just throw some light on this as well?
Sorry. So like I said, the third-party URL shorteners are basically not connected with SFMC. There is no native integration or any kind of integration available. So in this scenario, what ends up happening is basically someone from marketing team will identify the customers. They will create those long URLs, personalized long URLs, and then they will have to export them uh, from SFMC or any of the tool. Then they will have to manually convert those file format to a file format which is recognized by the third-party URL shortener. Pass it, they upload that file into the third-party URL shortener and wait for the processing to happen. Now, most of these shorteners are really slow, so the turnaround time is quite high considering this step itself. Once we get back the resulting short URL files, those files are again need to be converted back into a format which SFMC can understand. And the import process again happens as a manual intervention. So everything is basically a human resource heavy operation. The turnaround time is quite high, and the entire process is you can say error prone because of the human intervention which is required. Now, uh, when it comes to this third-party solutions, they also have a relatively low cap on how many URLs you can handle. And in such scenarios, the entire process need to be repeated for a subset of URLs. So uh, in case of GoURL, there is a seamless integration, and there is also a support to handle relatively quite high volumes. So you can send out a single file with large set of URLs, uh, and it will be processed quite quickly. The entire solution is SaaS-based, so you don't need to really take care about the infra. Everything is handled at our end. Also, there is a tricky question when it comes to the URLs. So most of these URLs they have what you say a validity. The the URLs can be permanent URLs which end up for the life of a solution, or the URLs can be a temporary URLs which are usually used for targeting a particular campaign. Now, these URLs, they have a short validity, they auto expire. You don't need to expire those URLs. And uh, both of these solutions require a different kind of infrastructure to support. For a URL to stay active, definitely we need to support a large set of infrastructure behind the scene, which ends up in quite high running cost. Now, if we create everything for a permanent URL, those are quite expensive to handle. So temporary URLs are basically a sweet spot which can be used to reduce the cost as well as target the campaigns which requires auto expiry. So there are advantages to this solution as well. And as a whole, this helps in the large volume that you want to target. There is an additional point to it. Even the reports which are generated based on these URL engagement by the users, those are automatically sent back into SFMC, and using the automation, we can have those click reports added back into the data extensions. Now, with this information back into SFMC, the entire user journey, the targeting and retargeting can be handled within SFMC without going back into the GoURL for any of the data.
Yeah, I mean, Ashish, so the way we started this presentation, right? So we discussed about a particular case study, and this was an automobile customer. I'm just throwing some light on the same question. So, they had a requirement to push out 1 million SMSs per day, million SMSs, and these were all shortened links. This was one of their primary requirement, and that's how GoURL was, positioned here as a solution to this automobile company, and with the help of that, even those campaigns were easily handled. So the product is, developed in such a way where it can handle large volume of campaigns as well as track these campaigns. So so I completely agree with you. GoURL is a product and can handle large volumes very easily and even track those campaigns for the marketeers. Agreed with you. So, last question, Ashish, for you. So, now I understood what GoURL is, It's a SaaS-based tool. It shortens the links. I can do several kinds of campaigns using GoURL. The most important question as a marketer, I want to understand now what are the types of reports which are available in your tool. Can you tell me what reports I can get in GoURL?
Yeah. So when it comes to reports, you already have a GoURL dashboard. It gives a high level data about how many URLs which are shortened by you, how many clicks which happened, uh, and how many further URLs which can be shortened by you. Along with this, you also have campaign-wise graphical data, wherein the campaign-wise performance of URLs is tracked. When it comes to the detailed reports, we also have some URL-wise the, the click location and the performance are related to those clicks. So that data is also available. These are the summarized reports available within the dashboard. But since the entire solution is integrated with SFMC, each and every click, the location, the IP address, the device details, operating system, the handset, or the whatever data which is available, this data is captured and sent back uh, into SFMC in an automated way. So uh, all the data which can be captured related to these URLs is available and presented.
I mean, great. So, as a marketer, I get all the information. I'm able to do all sorts of shortening links campaigns using GoURL. And I can also track all the activities. I can track the number of people who are clicking on those particular links. And this will, as a marketer, help me to plan my next set of campaigns. I mean, thanks, Ashish. I think I've asked you a couple of questions and thanks for clarifying these questions. This will definitely help all of us who are there on the call. And I agree with you. I mean, this is one of the most useful product, GoURL, which will definitely help our marketers to plan their campaigns, shorten links, and execute them accordingly and track the activities. Thanks, Ashish, for clarifying these questions.
Yeah. So let's turn the table. I have a couple of questions for you. Now that we have this GoURL SaaS product, what is the pricing model for this? If someone wants to get this, and how will they reach out to us?
So finally, Ashish, you got a chance to ask me questions. Okay. And I will answer them point by point. So first, the pricing model. So, since people, we all who are there on the call, we have been using the Salesforce Marketing Cloud tool, and we all know how the tool works, right? We have to purchase the credits first, the super messages credits first, and then we have to plan the campaigns. We can execute the campaigns using the platform. In a similar fashion, GoURL credits are also given to the customers. I mean, we can, understand from the marketer what is the requirement, what is their annual volume, and basis that we can recommend the number of credits they would need, to execute these URL campaigns. So this is completely credit based, and basis their volume, we can give those number of credits to the customer. And this is like a prepaid model where the customer has to purchase the credits first and start executing the campaigns. And the second question is whom to reach out to for more information on Mirum GoURL. So you can see there are two contact people. One is me, that is Jeet Gagwani. My number is there. You can reach out to me on my mobile, on my email ID. I'll be more than happy to assist anyone. And I also have my colleague's number, Kalyani. She is a senior business development manager here at Miram, part of my team. And her number and her email ID is there. So please feel free to reach out to any of us, and we will be more than happy to assist you. Thank you, Ashish. So before I wrap up this session, now I would, want to understand from audience. We are already over time. It was a 30-minute session, but just wanted to understand from the audience over here if there are any queries they have for us. We are open to take up questions right away. I mean, I'll be answering a few, and if there are few others, you can definitely reach out to me by email.
All right. There is a question which is asking, is it possible to use shortened links on WhatsApp? So like I said, the shortened URLs are platform independent. It can be used in WhatsApp or any of the social media messengers. Um, it's really independent. It performs just like any other URL, and it is consistent across all platforms. So yes, WhatsApp is possible. There is another question. Where is it hosted? So this is a SaaS-based product. It's a cloud-hosted platform, and uh, since the entire solution is SaaS-based, the best thing is you don't really need to take care about the infrastructure behind the scene. It's just a service that you can use. Okay.
So there is one question, Ashish, that I would like to take. How much time does it take for onboarding? Well, it is very simple. Give me the PO, let's fix up the commercials, and I'll get this operated within 24 to 48 hours for you. The platform is ready. Within 24 hours to 48 hours, you can start using the platform. That's an assurance from my side. So I think that is it. If there are any other questions, guys, please feel free to email me, Kalyani. We will be more than happy to answer your queries on email. And do share your feedback about this presentation. If there is any feedback, if you want us to cover any other things, we will be more than happy to, get back to you guys again. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Have a good day ahead. Bye.